Yo, listen up, everybody. Welcome back to the #1 TV show in the history of the United States of America. I am Brian Lee Durfee, and I am the author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Vicious Circle by C.J. Box. This is book number 17 in his Joe Pickett Wyoming-based mystery series. If you followed my channel for any length of time, you know that C.J. Box and this series is one of my new favorite things. I discovered it about a year and a half ago, and I've been reading through these books like one a month or one every two a month. I don't know the math on that, but I'm up to number 17 now. And a lot of you have been requesting that I get reviewing these things at a little more faster clip because y'all are loving these. And I think that there's 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. There's about 22 in the series right now. So I'm almost done with the series, but he keeps churning them out. He keeps churning these things out, which is cool. I like it. Because I love Joe Pickett. Let's talk about the cover first, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. This has got a simple one. I mean, and the spine is good. The spine, you'll notice, and I'll go up here to my CJ Box collection of books. The spines, you can see, all look great together. So the series looks really super fly on your shelf. So if you want to collect this series and have it look good on your shelf, it does. Each book has a similar graphic design motif on the front and a nice photograph of Wyoming scenery. This one is maybe one of the more static and uninteresting covers. Usually we've got really beautiful Wyoming scenery here, and this is just a dude in a field with his dog. Anyway, there we go. So the cover, pretty good. Overall, publisher A+ for designing a great series. Maybe about a B- on this cover specifically. Okay, let's talk about the series as a whole, and then we'll get into this book specifically. The Joe Pickett series is about a game warden named Joe Pickett who works in Wyoming, small town Wyoming, and he has got a family that we have followed through 17 books. We first meet his family in book 1. The kids are little. Now in book 17, his oldest daughter, Sheridan, is 21, so they've grown up. And for 16 books previous, we've seen their lives play out in all dramatic fashion. And it's cool. That's why I love this series. His other daughter, April, is a few years younger than Sheridan, and she is an adopted girl, sort of a half goth and half cowboy girl, if you can imagine. And then his youngest daughter, Lucy, is 18, and so he's dealing, and then his wife, and that's the charm of this series, is just this simple man, this simple game warden, and his kids and his wife, and all of the many murder adventures that they have gone through. Now, I like this book particularly a lot because all of his family is central to the plot. Not, and I would say half of the Joe Pickett books, his family is pretty integral to the plot. This one more so than most, which makes this a good book in my opinion. That's what I'm here for, Joe Pickett and his family. I've followed these people through 16 books. I mean, they feel like real people to me. Like I could go up to Wyoming and run into these people. And we've also got Joe's best friend, Romanowski, who was sort of the get shit done guy in this series, sort of the Jack Reacher of the series. He's sort of the ex-military badass of the series. And he's kind of Joe Pickett's best friend / protector, because Joe Pickett is just a normal dude. He ain't no ex-Navy SEAL. Everyone needs an ex-Navy SEAL sidekick to, people up when they need up. Anyway, so this book starts off in a plane, and Joe Pickett is flying above the wilds of Wyoming, and they're searching for, and I'm not going to say what they're really searching for. I don't want to give too much of the plot. But the way C.J. Box describes the landscape of Wyoming as we're flying over it in this plane. It's just beautiful. One of the reasons I love the series is not just because of Joe Pickett and his family, but because of the Wyoming landscape and the way that Mr. Box writes it. He writes these stories so effortlessly, I say. In every review, that's the word I use for CJ Box's writing, is it just seems so effortless. The plot, the descriptions, the characterizations, it's almost like it's flowing out of his fingertips into the computer, laptop, or whatever he's using, typewriter. Maybe he's using a typewriter. Maybe he's writing with a quill and pen. I don't know. But whatever it is, it seems effortless when you're reading it. And I love that. I love the descriptions. And you get to a sense, just in this book, you get a sense of how much Joe Pickett loves his job as a game warden, how much he hates people who are poachers, and in particular, once the plot gets rolling, we get to see some of our familiar villains from books past, namely a kid named Dallas Cates, who is a rodeo star who used to date one of his daughters, and he was a bull rider, and now things have gone topsy-turvy once again in Joe Pickett's life. And rather than butcher the plot just by trying to recall it, I'm going to read the back here, because they do it justice. Let's just say that. Okay. The past comes back to haunt game warden Joe Pickett and his family with devastating consequences. The Cates family had always been a bad lot. Remember Dallas Cates, the guy I was talking about, the rodeo star that was dating Joe Pickett's one of his daughters? Yeah, that's who we're talking about. Joe had been able to strike a fierce blow against them when they'd critically endangered his daughter April, but he'd always wondered if there'd be a day of reckoning. He's not wondering any longer. Joe knows they're coming after him now. He has a friend named Nate Romanowski by his side, but will that be enough? All he can do is plan and wait for the Cates to make the first move. But when that move comes, it is in a way for which no amount of planning could have prepared him. So it is a family versus family standoff. And that's what I liked about this book, is because everybody in Joe Pickett's family gets involved in the maniacal, dastardly deeds of the Cate family. And I like the way Joe Pickett frames all this, because half the time you're wondering, God, are these Cate people, are they really that bad? But then they just do crap things to you. But then you're like, and you're always wondering, has Joe Pickett really pegged these people wrong? Are they just misunderstood? And that's kind of the fun and charm of what's happening in here. So I like this book. I think it's one of the better Joe Pickett novels, and they've all, so far, been 10 out of 10s. And this one's another 10 out of 10. Just one of my favorite series of all time. Love it, love it, love it.